Hello and welcome to this tutorial video. My name is Declan Zapala and it's a pleasure to have you here today. So I've titled this video series Essential Ergonomics, as we're going to be exploring the bone, muscle and tendon structures in the hands, and we're going to use knowledge of that to improve our overall playing. So this video series is aimed at classical guitarists and fingerstyle guitarists at various stages of their learning. So ideally, this is going to be stuff you'd cover when you're a beginner, but personally for me, this is aspects of playing that I encountered quite late in my own playing. So really, hopefully, this is going to be able to improve various people's playing at various stages of learning. And this is also aimed at pick players who might be exploring fingerstyle technique for the first time. So this is really going to lay the foundations for right hand technique or plucking hand technique, and allow different players to either improve aspects of the playing or even completely reapproach their current technique. So what to expect, we're going to start with 5 right hand finger exercises which explore the physiology of the fingers so as to maximise efficiency in our playing as well as tone production. We'll then move into 5 left-hand exercises, and they'll be covering the ideas from the right-hand exercises, but applying them to the left hand. So ideas such as pressure placement and the efficiency between chord shifts. And the final exercise out of those 5 will be a short piece to kind of round off the whole experience and apply everything we've covered from all of the previous 9 exercises. So the tendons in our bodies are simply the strings that connect muscle to bone. So in the case of our hands, there's an array of tendons which run through them. So every finger has 4 tendons. So the first tendon starts at the tip of the finger, runs all the way down through the wrist into the forearm muscle. Okay, and when this forearm muscle contracts, it yanks down on its tendon and makes the finger curl like that. Okay. So, same thing happens across the back of the finger. There's a tendon that runs from the very top all the way to the very base of the forearm muscle there and pulls the finger in that direction, like that. Okay, so we get front and backwards from the 2 tendons. And there's also 2 more tendons, 2 short ones that go from there to there and from there to there, which give us the left and the right movement. So we get full 360 degrees movement from the 4 tendons. So something that's important for us to consider as guitarists is the fact that in order for these tendons to get through the wrist bones safely, they need to be bundled together and protected, and that's done so via the carpal tunnel. So all of our tendons bundled together into a little tube, a little kind of protective tube, as they run through the wrist bones to stop them from grating against the bones. So yeah, not considering these kind of things kind of leads us to problems with our technique and ultimately injuries as well, but we'll be covering this in the next chapter. So when it comes to plucking a string on the guitar, we're involving ourselves with one particular motion, which is the closing of the hand. Now, there's 2 ways in which we can close our hand. The first is curling the fingers, okay, which is kind of a strong motion, but it's also quite a tense one, so it's not particularly ideal for playing the guitar with, but we'll get back to that. And the second type of motion is the tucking of the hand, and a completely different kind of physiological process is happening when we tuck our fingers. So when we tuck our hand, we are actually utilising muscles in the palm of the hand called lumbrical muscles. So each finger has its own lumbrical muscle. So we have this on as the example finger. There's a lumbrical muscle just there, and it attaches to the finger just up here with its own kind of tendon. And when that muscle contracts, the finger does that. Okay. Now this motion, you can probably do it now while you're watching this video. That actual motion is a lot more gentler. It's a lot more relaxed as a motion. It's a lot simpler than a curling motion as well. There's less joints involved, there's less moving of the fingers around, and it actually lends itself to more of a fine motion as well. We've got a lot more control over that motion than we do that motion, okay? So basically when it comes to plucking, we're not bench pressing a car, we're simply passing our fingertips over pieces of string, so strength isn't really required. We just need nimbleness and dexterity. So let's think about those 2 main points as we move into our first exercise. So in this first exercise, we're going to be exploring plucking in a relaxed way. with our index and our middle finger via rest stroke, which is where you pluck and immediately fall onto the next string. So there's going to be two main things to consider. The first thing to consider is the shape of the finger as you actually pluck. Okay, so if we look down at the camera here, we'll see that I've got my index finger here on the string G, and you can see that my fingertip is bent back, pressed up against the G string there. And I'm kind of pushing down into the string with my fingertip bent, and I will then release the string and fall onto the next string. Okay, so it makes a nice big sound as you push in. I'll do that again. And you can see that my fingertip was bent when it was about to release, and it was also still bent when it fell onto the next string. And the other main thing I want us to be thinking about is Cossack dancing, which is a style of Russian dance which involves the kicking up of the two legs, usually from a crouched position. So if we think about that in terms of our fingers, we can imagine our index and our middle finger as a left and a right leg, constantly kicking up like that, okay? But the finger that goes down is the one that's doing the pluck, and the other finger is kind of getting up and ready, so that there's always a finger up in the air ready to pluck, if that makes sense, okay? As opposed to plucking and having both fingers down and then bringing the next finger up to pluck and then plucking like that, because it means that plucking a single note involves two separate, like, opposing motions: up, down, up, down, up, down. We want it to be up, 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 so that we're always ready to play the next note. This allows us to increase the tempos quite easily in what we're playing. So let's consider both of those points as we move into exercise number 1.